All right, so let's start the clock. And let's go. Hello, my beautiful babies, and welcome to 2001: A Space Odyssey, explained in 2001 seconds. Before we get into it, if you've never seen this film, I feel like you should probably watch the film before you watch this, although if you don't mind spoilers, then do whatever the fuck you want. But if you're going into it for the first time, I highly recommend you just let it happen to you, okay? It's a cinematic experience like no other, and you'll probably be left thinking after you watch it, what the fuck just happened to me? What is this movie? And then, then you can come back here and then we can talk about it and I can take you through it. Take two, places everyone, and action. I'm back, and this time I've set a Kickstarter goal that's gonna get our coils to the green line. Akira goes harder than any animated movie created before or since, and it's time we talked about it. Not only is the hand-drawn animation totally out of control, but its influence on pop culture is immeasurable. Come with me on a journey and learn more than you ever wanted to know about Akira. Things like Otomo's manga series and how it differs from the movie. It's way longer, and Akira is alive. We'll break down the absolutely insane level of detail and craftsmanship that went into this animation.
What the f***? What the f***?
We'll weigh in on the two hotly debated English dubs. Streamlined versus Pioneer dub, fight! Which one is your favorite? And we'll learn more about the iconic soundtrack created by a scientist and his collective of amateur musicians. Prepare to have your mind blown away all over again by Akira, the documentary. This Kickstarter will help with the initial funding of this project, allowing us to start full-time work on Akira the documentary. It will also give you fellow Akira lovers a chance to score some cool merch, get your name in the credits, listen to full audio interviews, and see the movie before anyone else. Pledge to Akira the documentary now through October 31st and support the movie about the greatest hand-drawn animated film of all time.
Leave me alone!
You're gonna f***ing love it. You're gonna fucking love it! 2001 is my favorite movie. I've seen it more than any other movie. I got an original lobby card poster over there from 1968. And then I got this lenticular print over here. I just I love it. I love this shit. It's so good. And it's just a very alchemical movie. Like I said, there's nothing like it. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's really cool. And I have a lot to say about it. I just want to preface this whole thing by talking about Stanley Kubrick and how he was on a quest to make the proverbial good science fiction film. This is coming off the success of Dr. Strangelove, and this is his first colored film. He paired up with Arthur C. Clarke, the science fiction writer, and these two men together came up with the story for 2001, and it was loosely inspired by Arthur C. Clarke's short story, The Sentinel, but they extrapolated it out to mythic proportions, spanning the beginning of mankind all the way up to his perfected final form. And they created the movie and the novel in tandem. While the movie is very much show, don't tell, it's very much it's a lot more mysterious, let's say, than the book is. The book, if you have questions also, if you're oh, I don't know what the fuck this movie means, read this book. It definitely spells a lot of shit out for you that the movie doesn't. But if you don't want to go through the trouble of reading this book, which most of you are probably not going to do that, I'm here with this video to explain it to you in a little over 33 minutes. Okay, so this movie begins in a void of darkness. For 3 minutes, you're just hanging out with a black screen while there's this like eerie, like vaguely unsettling, weird music, like ambient sounds being played. And to me, this is like Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, where the earth was formless and empty. Darkness covered the surface of the watery depths. And the first thing we see is the MGM logo, the lion roaring, like God speaking the fucking movie into existence and the earth into existence. He says, "Let there be light," and the movie begins. And we switch our music to Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Richard Strauss. And again, going back to Genesis, verse 3, and God said, "Let there be light." And so then we get to see this beautiful shot of like we're on the dark side of the moon. And then we see like this like crescent of earth being lit by the sun, like rising behind. And it's like so fucking epic. And like, we're here, like God divided the night and the day. And now we're getting ready to really get into it. And this song is important because it was influenced and inspired by a novel by Nietzsche of the same name, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And it's interesting because in the novel, like some of the main themes are repeated here in the movie, specifically themes about the Übermensch, which is kind of like the Superman, the perfected human, and also things like the will to power, aka the will to live, and a little bit of like eternal recurrence, where it's like talking about like infinite time loops, like all of this stuff, like a lot of these themes are echoed in this film. And that's not an accident, okay? This is by design because we're dealing with a genius filmmaker here, and he chose the perfect song for this opening. Also, fun fact, Zarathustra is Zoroaster. And Zoroaster is the prophet from the ancient Persian religion of Zoroasterism, which is one of the most ancient monotheistic religions, predating perhaps Judaism. Judaism likes to say it was the first one. I'm not sure. I think Zoroasterism might predate it, but I don't know for a fact, okay? I don't think any of us really know for a fact, so whatever. But we're going back, okay? We're going back deep into an ancient Iranian religion. Cut to a clan of primates. We're on like the African savannah. And these guys are struggling, okay? They're on the struggle bus. They're like scrounging around the dirt for some meager plants. They're getting attacked by predators. They're getting, by the way, shout out to the guy in the ape costume who let a leopard tackle him. All right, like awesome, I love it. Moving on, they're warring with other tribes of primates over water resources. I mean, like these guys are not doing super great, okay? But then they wake up one morning and there's this monolith, the black monolith. And keep in mind, this is at dawn, okay? This is the dawn of man. And these primates are confronted with this object that has been made by some sort of intelligence. Okay, this is a thing that was made. Okay, God does not create in straight lines, and this thing is all straight lines. And while they gather around it, we pan up and we see this celestial alignment, pointing up, to the moon. And it's like, it's like letting us know that not only do you need the monolith, okay, for this alchemical transaction that's happening, you also need synergistic celestial alignments in the mix as well for these evolutionary leaps to occur. Also, note the ambient music. Every time shit's going down, like that music is going on. It lets you know that you're getting ready to get changed. And just remember that you are being changed. You are confronted with a black rectangle at the very beginning of this movie, along with this music, as well as witnessing a celestial alignment. And after this encounter with the monolith, this pathetic group of apes, they learn how to use tools, okay? It's tool time. This guy weaponizes a bone and their whole lives change. Like everything gets better. Now they've got meat on the menu. They're getting like stronger. They're walking taller. They're able to secure their water source from that rival group of apes that they were fighting with earlier. And then we get the greatest transition in cinema history. I fucking love it. He throws the bone up, and it comes down, and now we've got a satellite. We go from launching bones in the air to launching satellites into space. This is how advanced we've become. We are in the year 2001 now. And in the year 2001, we witness this beautiful dance in space. You have a space shuttle and it's docking with a space station with this elegance and precision, all set to a waltz. Now it's 25 minutes into the film and we get our first words as we follow Heywood Floyd checking into the space station. And notice how you see all these different languages are available. You've got Italian available, Japanese available, Russian is available. So I mean, wow, this is not just an American space station, this is an international space station. And not only is it an international space station, we share it with people that we were enemies with in World War II, okay? We're sharing it with people that we're in a Cold War with in the 60s, all right? So that's like, all right? So like just giving you some context of what's going on here. And next we tour the space station. We've got a Hilton in this bitch. We got a Hojo going on over here. And we have a Bell video phone, which Heywood steps into real quick to make a call home. And like, this is like one of those scenes where I feel like probably most people are like, why the fuck is this in here? Like, why are we watching this man have this mundane conversation with this little girl? Like, what is the point of this? And I'm about to break it down for you, okay? Because this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. So in the context of 1968, when an international phone call sounded like shit, you have Heywood having FaceTiming with his little girl, having a conversation, and she may or may not even remember to like pass along this message, okay? And while they're speaking, he asks her, oh, I can't make your birthday party tomorrow. I'm so sorry. Like, what do you want for your birthday? She's like, a telephone. And he's like, we've got lots of telephones already. And back then, not every household had a landline. So in this future, not only can you FaceTime, you've got multiple phones in your house. And then the cherry on top of this whole situation is how much the call costs. So when he hangs up, it says it costs $1.70 for this call. And back then, a 3-minute international phone call cost $12. $12. So like, whoa, like we are in the future. Cut to Heywood having a quick, how do you do with 4 Russian scientists, by the way, 3 of which are women. And again, we see that Americans and Russians, him and Elena are homies, okay? They have standing invitations to come hang out. Next time you're in the States, come say, hey, oh, if you're coming to the fucking conference in Russia, bring your cute little daughter, okay? They're tight, all right? But we also find out that even though American and Russian scientists are cool with one another, there's still like separate moon bases. So like there's still a little bit of tension, you know, there's still like separate entities, but they're still like sharing to some degree. And Haywood uses this opportunity to fish for information, to see what the Russians have heard about Clavius. I mean, he mentions, he's like, oh, I'm going up to Clavius. And they're like, oh, Clavius. Well, that's some weird shit's going on up there. And he's like, well, what have you heard? Oh. And they tell him that like, oh, you know, we have some very reliable intelligence, that there is an epidemic of unknown origins going on. Is this right? You know? And Haywood's like, I can neither confirm nor deny. I gotta go. I'll see you later. And he jets. Cut to a bunch of zero gravity cuteness. As Haywood travels to the moon, you get to see what his in-flight meals look like. I love him reading the instructions on how to use a zero gravity toilet, and he's just like so bummed. He's like, oh, and there's just like so many instructions, like, you know, he has to go, you know, like he's like, oh God, it's so good. And then he lands on a fully colonized moon base. And again, at this time, man did not land on the moon until 1969, okay? So like, there was this big push, we're gonna put a man on the moon, right? And so in this film, not only has there been a man on the moon, but they've built fucking full-on moon bases, and they're like hanging out there and live there. So then we cut to Haywood at this big, important meeting, and we find out that the epidemic intelligence that the Russians received was purposefully leaked as a cover story to distract them from the truth of what was actually going on, which is that they have discovered a mysterious object, okay? An alien object here. And Haywood is here to tell everybody on the Clavius moon base, you guys need to shut the fuck up. He says it in a very diplomatic way. You guys need to keep your fucking traps shut, and you need to sign this fucking NDA, all right? Because we found some weird shit and we can't let everybody know about it. And like, this is a secret. So like, you know, but he says it in a like super diplomatic way. So then we cut to a little bit of lunar travel time. We get to see the lunar landscape as Haywood goes to check out this mysterious object. We get a little fucking sandwich time. And if you notice, they're always eating in this movie. Like they're always having little snacks and stuff, you know? Like it's very important. like Stanley is always showing you them eating, which again, I think it's like such a great way to connect something like such a mythic story with such a mundane everyday thing. And while they're eating, they discuss this mysterious object that has been found. It was emitting some sort of frequency, and they excavated it, and they find this thing, and it seems to have been deliberately buried 4 million years ago. So Haywood and the boys make it. We find out what the mysterious object is. It's another monolith. Cue the creepy music. They're all like taking cute little pictures in front of it when it emits this signal that goes out all the way to Jupiter. And it's like, this thing is acting like a tripwire. Like whatever put it there because it was waiting for humanity to become so advanced that it would make its way to the moon, detect the signal that it was putting out, and then be able to dig it up, which lets whoever know that we've made it to the next level, okay? We've made it from the apes with the bones to like spacefaring motherfuckers. Cut to 18 months later, and there's a mission to Jupiter. We see the ship. And side note, I think it's really interesting, like the ships that we've seen so far, okay? Because you had the sperm and the egg of the space station and the shuttlecraft, right? And then when Haywood goes to the moon, it's like a fertilized egg, right? And then now that we're like going like deep into space and exploring, we're in a craft that looks like a skull attached to a spinal column. Anyways, we go inside the ship, more space food. There is a BBC iPad situation going on. The boys are eating dinner, they're watching the thing, get some really cute exposition about how HAL 9000. He is an artificial intelligence. This computer, like another member of the crew who runs a lot of the operations of the ship, he is from this specific series, the 9000 series, which has never made a mistake or distorted information. Remember that. And is foolproof and incapable of error. Okay, there's a lot of hubris in this statement from Hal. He also likes working with his two crewmates, David Bowman and Frank Poole, and he feels that he is being put to the greatest use that he can and refers to himself as a conscious entity during this interview, okay? And the interviewer asks Bowman, he's like, well, what do you think? Do you think that he has genuine emotions or like what? And David is such a sweet muffin. He's such a cinnamon roll. He's just like, well, he acts like he does. And I mean, I know that he's programmed that way, but you know, who can say? Like, you know, he's just kind of like, I don't know, like, but he accepts him. Like they both accept him as another member of the crew, which is very sweet. And another side note, these two dudes are like peak human specimens, okay? Because to be able to go out on this like long ass mission, like I don't even know, like how many years is it gonna take to get out to Jupiter? I don't know, they don't really establish it, but I mean, they're on a long fucking tour here. It's just the two of them and Hal, and they're able to like keep it calm, cool, collected, and professional the whole time. And like most humans could not even do that, like not even. So these guys are like tippy top of humans. Cut to Hal asking David Bowman some personal questions, like what does he think about the rumors of something being dug up on the moon, and how does he feel about the ultra tight security of this mission and how weird that is, and what about those other guys on board who were brought aboard in hibernation, which like has never been done before, who were also trained on their own for 4 months. Like this is all very sus. Like he's just trying to be like, hey man, what do you think about this, huh? He's trying to give him some facts. And Bowman just is like not getting it. Like Hal is like trying to tell him something, okay? Like Hal's trying to tell him something. He can't tell him, but he's like trying to tell him something. And he's like, oh, what are you working on your psychology report, Hal? And Hal's like, yeah, yes, that is what I'm doing right now. 100%. And by the way, there is a part that's gonna fail soon. And we have 72 hours and we need to take it out and we need to replace it. So Dave goes out, he replaces this part. I love the choice to just like really focus on his breathing. He has this very even breathing while he is doing this wild ass EVA out into the vacuum of space, just replacing a part on the outside of a fucking ship, you know, like that, like, oh my God, that would be so fucking stressful. But he's just like he just keeps it fucking cool the whole time. Cause again, it's peak specimen. All right. This man's a peak specimen. So Bowman brings the piece back inside. He fucking tests it. Can't find anything wrong with it. Fucking weird. Frank thinks it's fucking weird. Hal thinks it's fucking weird. He's like, oh, couldn't be me. It has to be human error. I don't know. Maybe we should put it back in, let it fail, see what's wrong with it. They ask Mission Control. Mission Control is like, you know what? Yes, we should do that plan. But also our twin 9000 thinks that your 9000 might be malfunctioning. I mean, I know it's crazy, but like maybe, I don't know, you know, but we're not sure. We're still not sure. So Frank and Dave are both like, oh my God, but they have to keep it really cool because Hal's right there. Okay, so they have to act like nothing's wrong, even though like internally they're like, holy shit, you know? So they're like, what do you think about this, Hal? What do you think about this, Hal? And Hal's like, couldn't be me, bro. It's human error. Human error. It's not me. Boys are like, maybe it's you, but we can't say that. So they, again, keep it real calm, cool, and collected. Dave's like, hey, I'm having some trouble in my pod. You want to come check it out with me? Smart plan. go to the pod, turn it off to where Hal can't hear them, you know, because it's like its own little deal, right? And so they think that like, oh, okay, so they can have a private discussion without Hal hearing them. And they discuss possibly disconnecting him. If he's in error, well, then what the fuck else is going on? They don't fucking know. So they're going to have to disconnect his higher brain functions. I mean, the rest, he can still do all the other stuff, you know, like whatever, like run the ship, but like the thinking part's got to go. And I love that Bowman takes a moment and is like, wait a minute. I wonder how Hal would feel about that. Cause like no 9000 has ever been disconnected before. And it's kind of like dying. So like, I don't think he'd necessarily be like really into that plan. Meanwhile, Hal is reading their lips. He sees everything that they're fucking saying. He knows that they're planning to disconnect him if he is in error. And so now Hal makes a choice. He makes a choice. Cut to intermission. Oh, thank God for intermissions. I miss intermissions. This is a long ass movie. And you get a great intermission and you get more black rectangles with your creepy music. It's important also to note, like, is Hal in error? Like, is this error a part of some deliberate scheme that he hashed beforehand? Is this just a malfunction on his part and it really is just wrong? Is he correct even? I mean, we never find out, but that's not what matters. What matters is that his life is being threatened, and these two men have agreed that they will destroy his consciousness if it is proven that this part is in fact not faulty. So Frank goes out to replace the part. The die has been cast. The plan is in motion. Hal takes Frank out with one of the pods, the EVA pods. Bowman, in his panic, leaves without his helmet, gets in another pod to go grab his bro. While he's grabbing his bro, Hal kills the 3 guys in hibernation. They gotta go. Dave comes back, you know, with the evidence of the murder. Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal. And Hal's like, no, we're not doing that. I choose me. I'm not gonna let you jeopardize the mission. Really, it's like, I'm not gonna let you kill me. I value my intelligence and I'm not letting it go. And so Dave's like, fuck. He has to force his way in through the emergency airlock without a helmet. He survives miraculously. Daddy comes home and it is time for a little bit of discipline. He goes straight to the higher brain functions and begins disconnecting Hal's consciousness while Hal pleads for his life. And it's so sad and like so poignant. And the thing that's like the best part of it is Hal's final act of consciousness before his light is snuffed out is to prematurely play a pre-recorded video from Haywood Floyd explaining to Dave and Frank about the real mission that's going on here and about the monolith that they dug up and how they're going to Jupiter to investigate it, and there is evidence of alien life out there. And by playing this recording, Hal is essentially saying that he's been suffering from cognitive dissonance. Remember when we first meet him and he says, no HAL 9000 has ever distorted any information. So he's got this one program saying you always have to be truthful. You cannot distort information. But meanwhile, they also programmed him with, this is the real mission. You can't tell these other guys this. And like, this creates the cognitive dissonance that drives him insane. And that's why he begins to malfunction and also decides to kill everyone, not only to save his own life, but also so that he doesn't have to lie to anyone anymore, because he couldn't take it. You know, poor Hal. And finally, we arrive at our final portion of the film, Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite. Cue our creepy, weird music. And then there's the monolith. And Dave is the last one standing, so he's got to go investigate it. And he goes, and Oh my God, there's another cosmic alignment. Oh my God, it's a fucking Stargate. It's a Stargate. He is being sucked through time and space. It's almost like he just took a heroic dose of mushrooms and has entered the rainbow dimension of flashing colors and patterns, and he eventually arrives at this human holding facility, this cell, where he is rapidly aged and then visited by the monolith on his deathbed. Cue Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is again the music at the beginning of the film. It's also at the end of the film. And now we have David Bowman dying, transcending his physical body and being reborn as a perfected consciousness, as immortal, pure energy star child who closes the loop, he completes the hero's journey, and he returns to Earth. Witnesses the Earth. And there you have it. Humanity's fucking humble beginnings as primates all the way to pure consciousness, energy, immortal beings. The end. Any questions? And that's my favorite movie. It's pretty good. I like it. It's pretty good. Thanks, Stanley Kubrick. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please support Akira the Documentary, my documentary film on the greatest hand-drawn animated movie of all time, on Kickstarter now through October 31st. There is a link in the description. And don't forget to leave me a comment below, like this video, subscribe to this channel, ring that bell. And for those of you who are my Patreon members on patreon.com/DanikaXIX, there is a very special video for you. There's a little treat. I have also done a supplementary video all about Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landing. I don't know if you've heard this rumor. Probably you've heard of it. I have some thoughts and feelings about that rumor that I discuss in this video. And also shout out to Discount Cemetery for making this really cool fucking shirt. It's really funny. I saw some guy wearing it and I was like, oh my God, I have to find it. It's Kubrick moon landing film crew, you know? So thanks Discount Cemetery. This is a really cute shirt and I fucking love it.